Hola, and welcome to Travel Babble with Basha. I am Basha, your hostess today, as we travel to a small city in Spain. I was in Malaga in the Costa del Sol area of Spain, one of my favorite places in the world. And I had a chance to take a day trip to a little town just outside of Malaga, maybe about an hour drive. I jumped on it. And I went to visit a place called Mijas, or the formal name more is Mijas Pueblo. Now, not to be confused with Mijas Costa. Mijas Costa is right in the same area, but it's along the coast. Mijas Pueblo is up in the mountains, and it's a beautiful white village. So I wanted to go there to check it out. Both are great to visit, but I wanted to see the one up in the mountains. When I was there, I got to see quite a few sights. It's just a small little village, but there was so much going on there. And the first place I went to was the Ermita de la Virgen de la Pena, and it's a small chapel. Now, we couldn't go in the chapel, but the doors were opened so that you could see in. So there was kind of a wire fence over one of the doors, but the main doors were open. You could look in. And I don't have any pictures inside because I generally do not take pictures inside a chapel. I do make exceptions, as you may see in other videos, but it was gorgeous. It was beautiful, and it was just a small little chapel. The outside was beautiful. There was some statues up on the top. There was a view that you could see from there, and it was at the end of kind of a plaza, which also had some sitting areas if you wanted to just sit quietly and maybe meditate. There was some places to get food and something to drink right around there as well. But it was a nice place just to go, just to look at this chapel. This chapel has been there for many, many years, and it's one of the big draws in Mijas area. After that, we walked around a little bit. We walked up. We saw some other nice buildings, some beautiful buildings. We walked through the town. We walked through a lot of whitewashed streets and shops. There was a lot of shopping. I did my share of shopping, brought home some souvenirs. One of my big souvenirs is I bring home dish towels because they're useful, but they also show where I've gone. So I have one of Mijas that says Mijas and has a donkey on it, and I'll tell you about the donkeys here in a little bit. But the whitewashed streets, the shops, beautiful buildings just sitting there. And this was on a quiet morning, so there was not a lot of people out until we were there a little bit later in the day. In some of the shops, we did see more people. Also, was able to walk around the Park La Muralla. It's a park that is, again, like I said, there weren't a lot of people around. There were a lot of glass-like mosaics on the ground, and a lot of fountains that were built up. Beautiful to walk around, to stand back, because some of the mosaics, you couldn't really tell what they were if you were standing right on top of them. But then you would step back and you would see it was beautiful flowers, or maybe it was the lead up to a fountain, so it was really pretty there. It was also some views that you could go and you could look off into the distance. There were some areas where we could stand and we could see down to the coast area. You could see some little chapels up on the hill, but there was just so much there to see, and it was all gorgeous and quiet, and I really liked that. One of the other places then right off beside the park is the Plaza de Toros de Mijas. And this is a white building and a white stadium. It's a bullfighting area. And it's been there for many, many years. And I'm not going to get into whether bullfighting is good or bad, but it is part of the history of Spain. So it is a bullfighting area. There was a little museum shop next door. It was closed in the morning when we were there. I didn't get a chance to go in it. But again, it's a nice place that shows you some of the history of the area. And it was white. It blended in. It seemed like most of the town was white. I'm not sure if that's a requirement or it just happened, but most of the town is white buildings or painted white, brick white, just gorgeous. So we spent some time there looking around the building, some of the murals that were on the outside of the building, talking about bullfighting and also visiting the park next door. And of course, the more important, there were bathrooms over to the side. Can never have too many bathrooms in an area when you're out walking for a day. What else did I see while we were there? There was so much. There was the place that we could go out and we could stare out at the sea from the Costa del Mijas. Forgive my pronunciation. I'm still working on my Spanish for the next time I'm back in the Malaga and the Costa del Sol area. But again, the views, tremendous, tremendous views that you could go there. Now let me get back to the donkeys. So if you were back at the beginning where we first came into Mijas and where we ended up parking was the Plaza Virgen de la Panay. And this is a big plaza. And we walked all over this plaza. Now the nice thing when we were there, as I said, some of the shops were closed. Some of them were opening partway through the day. But there was a big outdoor market in this plaza. And there were a lot of local people selling a lot of handmade items. And one of the things that I really liked that I get, and I just happened to walk up because somebody I knew was there shopping, and I said, "What are you buying?" And she showed me, and they were making something special for her because she was getting a bracelet, and they didn't have one that was the right size. So they actually made one while she stood there. Now I found 2 matching bracelets, and they had an anchor on them. And I got it for me and for a friend, and we had done a transatlantic cruise together. And one of the things when you do a transatlantic, the tradition, I guess, is you get an anchor tattoo. Now, I have no intention of getting any tattoos. I'm scared to death to get a tattoo. My friend has several, so it may be a little bit different for him to get tattoos. But I bought each of us a bracelet with an anchor on it to signify that we had a friendship and that we crossed the transatlantic together. And the price was, I think it was like €8 or something a piece. It was very cheap, very reasonable, and good handcraft, locally made, handmade by the lady who I bought it from. There were all kinds of other examples like that. There were towels, there were pictures that people had drawn. I didn't have room in my suitcase to take some of it home, so unfortunately I couldn't buy everything that I really liked. But I was able to get a few items, and that was very nice. Now over to the side of the plaza were the donkeys. And there was a statue of a donkey that signifies that, you know, their history and the history of the donkeys in the area and in the little village. But they also had donkeys hooked up to carts, and you could pay to ride in the carts, have them take you around the town. I didn't do this. I felt kind of sorry for the donkeys. They were cute. They're donkeys. But I didn't want to pay for them. I know that's how they get their food. That's how they do their work. And I really didn't see a lot of people riding them. Now, there weren't a lot of people there that day other than the people in that outdoor market. So I didn't see a lot of people taking the donkeys. But those, when I think about it, those hills through that little village, at some points were really steep. So I could just imagine those donkeys really, when they were hired, they put in the work and they earned whatever food they got. So it is a city. There is a lot of donkeys there. Again, it's just a small village. It's beautiful. And I would highly recommend, if you're in the Malaga area, like I said, it is maybe an hour outside of Malaga. It's a beautiful place to go visit, see the whitewashed buildings, just wander through the streets. I didn't even have to go in anywhere. I did, of course, do my shopping, but you don't have to. Wander through the streets. You have views from almost every location because it is way up in the mountains. It was a windy, steep road, and I'm afraid of heights. So there were a few places where it's a good thing I wasn't driving because I closed my eyes on some of those curves. But I did enjoy being so high up, being able to see the water down below, being able to see even higher up chapels, other buildings, and just the view was tremendous. I sat in the park. I was able to relax in the park for a little bit. I was able to take in history, take in beauty. I would highly recommend, if you get a chance, as I said, go out to the Mijas area. Possibly you'll see me visiting. I hope to live in that area sometime soon, but I don't think Mijas is going to be my place simply because That road up there was, as I said, steep, but I did love it. And if you're interested in going to Malaga, which I may talk about on another video, or time to go out to Mijas or any of the other surrounding areas, don't forget, the first thing you need to do is subscribe to my channel to hear about them, like my video, and then what are you waiting for? Get up, vamos! Go pack your bags.